Think about a story that almost everyone knows, no matter where they come from. A man builds a huge boat to save his family and animals from a great flood. This is the story of Noah, known as Noah in Arabic. This ancient tale appears in three major religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Each religion tells a story differently, but they all agree on one thing: Noah was a special person chosen by God. The story of Noah is thousands of years old. It started as an oral tradition, passed down from parents to children for many generations. Later, it was written in holy books. The Torah, the Bible, and the Quran all include Noah's story, making him one of the few people mentioned in all three Abrahamic religions. In the Jewish tradition, Noah appears in the book of Genesis. The Hebrew Bible tells us that Noah was a righteous man in a world full of evil. God saw that people had become wicked and violent. They had forgotten how to be good to each other. God decided to send a great flood to clean the earth and start fresh. But Noah was different. He was a good man who followed God's commands. God told Noah to build an ark, a huge wooden boat. This was not an easy job. The ark had to be big enough to hold Noah's family and two of every kind of animal. Noah worked for many years building this massive boat. His neighbors probably thought he was crazy. There was no sea nearby. So why build such a big boat? But Noah trusted God and kept working. When the flood came, it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. The water covered the earth completely. Only Noah, his family, and the animals in the ark survived. After the flood ended, God made a promise to Noah. He would never destroy the earth with water again. As a sign of this promise, God put a rainbow in the sky. Christians tell a very similar story, but they add their own understanding. In Christian tradition, Noah represents faith and obedience to God. Many Christians see Noah as a symbol of salvation. Just as Noah was saved from a flood, Christians believe Jesus saves people from sin. The ark becomes a symbol of the church, a safe place where believers can find protection. Christian art often shows Noah as an old man with a long beard, surrounded by animals. The story teaches Christians about God's justice and mercy. God punished the wicked world with the flood, showing his justice. But he saved Noah and his family, showing his mercy. This balance between justice and mercy is important in Christian teaching. The Islamic version of the story has many similarities, but also some differences. In the Quran, Noah is called Nuh, and he is considered one of the most important prophets. Muslims believe that Nuh spent 950 years calling people to worship only one God, Allah. For almost 1,000 years, he tried to convince people to change their ways and follow God's path. In Islamic tradition, Nuh's people were not just wicked, they were also idol worshippers. They made statues and prayed to them instead of praying to Allah. Noah warned them that this was wrong, but they would not listen. They laughed at him and called him crazy. Some even threatened to hurt him if he did not stop preaching. The Quran tells us that Noah built the ark on dry land, far from any water. People made fun of him even more. Why are you building a boat here? They asked. There is no sea. But Noah continued his work, knowing that Allah had commanded him to do it. When the flood came, Noah called his son to join them in the ark. But his son refused, thinking he could climb a mountain to escape the water. Sadly, the son drowned. This part of the story shows that even family relationships cannot save someone who rejects God's message. Faith is more important than blood relations. All three religions agree that Noah's story teaches important lessons about faith, obedience, and God's power. But they understand these lessons in different ways. Jews see Noah as the father of a new beginning for humanity. Christians see him as a model of faith and a symbol of salvation. Muslims see him as a patient prophet who never gave up calling people to God, even when they rejected him for hundreds of years. The story also shows how God deals with human wickedness. In all three traditions, God is patient and gives people many chances to change. But when they refuse to listen, there are consequences. The flood represents God's judgment on evil, but saving Noah shows God's mercy to those who are faithful. Interestingly, similar flood stories exist in many cultures around the world. The Epic of Gilgamesh from ancient Mesopotamia tells of a man named Utnapishtim who survived a great flood. Hindu and Greek myths also include flood stories. This suggests that either a great flood really happened long ago, or that humans naturally create stories about floods to explain important truths about life and God. Today, scientists have different opinions about Noah's flood. Some believe it was a local flood in the Middle East that seemed like the whole world to people living there. Others think it might refer to the end of the Ice Age when sea levels rose quickly. A few believe it was exactly as described in the holy books, a worldwide flood that covered all land. Religious believers usually care less about the scientific details and more about the spiritual meaning. They see Noah's story as teaching that God cares about right and wrong, that faith matters more than popular opinion, and that God always provides a way for faithful people to survive difficult times. The ark itself has captured human imagination for thousands of years. People have tried to find remains of Noah's ark on Mount Ararat in Turkey, where the Bible says it landed. Some claim to have found pieces of very old wood, but scientists are not convinced. Whether the physical ark still exists or not, its symbolic meaning remains powerful. In art and literature, Noah's Ark often represents hope and new beginnings. Children especially love the story because of all the animals. The image of pairs of animals walking into the ark, elephants, lions, birds, and tiny insects, creates a beautiful picture of God's care for all creation. Noah's character also teaches about patience and perseverance. He worked for years building the ark while people mocked him. He preached for centuries while people ignored him. But he never gave up because he trusted God's plan. This patience and faith inspire believers in all three religions. The story ends with God's promise never to destroy the earth with flood again. The rainbow becomes a sign of this covenant. Every time people see a rainbow, they remember God's promise and Noah's faithfulness. This ending gives hope. No matter how bad things get, God always provides a way forward for those who trust Him. Today, Noah remains one of the most beloved figures in religious history. His story bridges different faiths and cultures, reminding everyone that faith, righteousness, and obedience to God are valuable in any age. Whether told in synagogue, church, or mosque, Noah's story continues to inspire people to trust God and do what is right, even when it seems impossible.